Carl Jung once wrote that every light casts a shadow, and within every woman that shadow breathes with ancient secrets. It isn't the darkness of evil, but the darkness of depth, the unseen layers of desire, fear, and instinct that society teaches her to hide. From the moment she learns to smile when she wants to scream, or to please when she longs to rebel, the shadow begins to form. It's the part of her that remembers what she's not allowed to be: powerful, wild, seductive, destructive, free. But repression doesn't erase it. It only drives it deeper, where it gathers strength. There, in the unseen chambers of her psyche, the shadow waits, not as an enemy, but as an unclaimed twin. And when the woman looks into the mirror of her soul, she finds a reflection that does not smile back, but stares, silent and knowing. The dark feminine is not gentle. She is truth itself, stripped of performance, unashamed of hunger. And Jung warned, when a woman meets this shadow without fear, she doesn't become darker. She becomes whole. Every woman wears a mask. Jung called it the persona, the face she shows to the world, carefully crafted to be loved, accepted, and safe. It smiles politely, speaks softly, and hides the storm that brews beneath. But behind that mask, the shadow watches, waiting for the cracks to widen. Sometimes it leaks through in flashes: a cutting word, a sudden burst of emotion, an unexplainable attraction to danger. These are not mistakes. They are messages from the unconscious. They whisper, "You are more than what you pretend to be." The mask is necessary. Society demands it. But if she believes the mask is her true self, she begins to suffocate behind her own perfection. Her laughter becomes practiced, her desires censored, her intuition dulled. And in that silence, her shadow grows restless. Because the soul cannot bear falsehood for long. The moment she dares to remove the mask, to see herself not as others do, but as she truly is, raw, imperfect, human, she begins her descent. It is the descent that Jung called individuation, the sacred journey into one's own darkness, where the fragments of the soul are gathered, piece by trembling piece. Jung once said that the shadow is not only dark, it is seductive. For a woman, its pull often appears as fascination with danger, mystery, or forbidden desire. She finds herself drawn to what society calls wrong, yet something inside whispers it feels real. It might be a man she shouldn't love, a dream she shouldn't chase, or a truth she shouldn't speak. But in truth, the shadow seduces her not toward sin, but toward wholeness. Every forbidden impulse is a fragment of her unlived life calling out to be seen. The world told her to be good, gentle, agreeable. But her shadow knows she is also wild, instinctive, passionate, capable of creation and destruction alike. When she suppresses this force, it leaks through her art, her eyes, her silence. The more she resists it, the more magnetic it becomes. Jung warned that a woman who denies her shadow is ruled by it unconsciously, but a woman who dances with it becomes unstoppable. To know the shadow is to reclaim the lost energy of her soul, the energy that gives her presence that ancient, dangerous beauty no mask can imitate. Every powerful woman carries a wound, one that never fully heals because it was never meant to. Jung believed that the soul is shaped not by perfection, but by suffering. Through pain, the shadow finds its voice. For some women, the wound begins in childhood, when their power was shamed, their feelings dismissed, their depth misunderstood. So they learned to hide it. But hidden pain does not die. It transforms. It becomes empathy, intuition, and an almost supernatural ability to read the emotions of others. That is the dark gift of the wounded feminine. She senses what others refuse to feel. But if she lets her wound define her, she becomes a prisoner of her own story. The true transformation begins when she looks into that pain and asks, "What is this trying to teach me?" The wound is not her weakness, it is her initiation. Every scar, every heartbreak, every betrayal becomes a doorway back to her authentic self. The woman who walks through her pain consciously doesn't just heal, she becomes dangerous. Because now she knows where her power truly lives. Jung spoke of a secret figure that lives within every woman, the animus, her inner masculine. It is the voice that pushes her toward strength, logic, and independence. But when repressed, it hides in the shadows and takes on distorted shapes. You can see it in the woman who attracts men that mirror her unconscious. The gentle woman drawn to aggression. The confident woman magnetized by the unavailable. These patterns are not coincidences. They are mirrors. Each man she meets carries a fragment of her own soul, reflecting what she has yet to integrate. Her animus does not want her to find the perfect man. It wants her to awaken to her own inner power, the part of her that stands tall, protects, and acts without fear. When she embraces that inner masculine, she stops seeking completion in others. Her love becomes a choice, not a craving. Her energy stabilizes, not as submission, not as dominance, but as sacred balance. And in that balance, she becomes what Jung called individuated, a being complete within herself, no longer needing reflection to know who she is. There is a quiet violence in repression, the kind that wears a smile. A woman taught to be nice, to stay calm, and to not overreact, learns to bury her rage under layers of composure. But Jung warned that whatever is denied in the conscious mind returns multiplied through the unconscious. That repressed fire does not disappear. It turns inward, poisoning her self-worth, twisting her emotions, draining her power. She begins to feel tired for no reason, resentful without understanding why. Yet beneath that exhaustion burns a truth. Her shadow is suffocating, begging to breathe. When a woman finally allows herself to feel anger, jealousy, lust, and defiance, not act them out blindly, but feel them, she begins to reclaim her instincts. Her fire is not a flaw, it's fuel. She realizes that rage can purify, desire can awaken, and boundaries can save her. The moment she owns what she once suppressed, she becomes magnetic, not because she tries to, but because energy that was once locked away now flows freely. And Jung said, the shadow, when acknowledged, turns from a demon into a guide. Desire is one of the most misunderstood forces in the feminine psyche. Society teaches her that wanting too much makes her dangerous, too ambitious, too sexual, too alive. So she learns to hide her hunger behind politeness and smiles, calling it modesty. But Jung saw desire differently. He believed it was the soul's compass, a fire that points toward wholeness. When a woman denies her desire, she starves her creative energy. Her shadow becomes restless, seeking to express itself through dreams, fantasies, or self-sabotage. Desire is not corruption, it is communication. It speaks in symbols, in the quiet ache for something more. When she dares to listen, she realizes her longing is not always for another person. Sometimes it's for her own unlived life. The woman who can look at her desires without shame becomes sovereign over herself. She no longer chases love or approval, she attracts it. Because true power, Jung said, is not found in controlling desire. It's found in understanding what it's trying to reveal. Every woman carries within her a secret lover. A phantom made not of flesh, but of energy. Jung called this the animus image, the inner man that shapes her attraction, desire, and heartbreak. He appears in dreams, in obsessions, in the mysterious pull toward men who feel strangely familiar. But this lover is not meant to be found outside. He is a symbol of her own power unclaimed. The moment she mistakes him for another person, she falls under the spell of projection. She sees divinity where there is only humanity. She feels addicted to what she herself has created. It is both ecstasy and illusion. When the illusion breaks, through betrayal, loss, or awakening, she feels shattered. But that breaking is sacred. It is her soul reclaiming the love she gave away. The true shadow lover is not a man. It is her passion, her fire, her untamed heart calling her back home. When she merges with that energy consciously, she becomes complete, and no external love can ever hold power over her again. Every woman who walks the path of self-discovery must face a moment of chaos, the night when her world falls apart, and the old identity burns away. Jung called this the night sea journey, the descent into the unconscious where the ego is stripped of illusion. It often begins when she loses what she thought she needed: a relationship, a dream, or a sense of control. At first, it feels like death. Everything becomes dark, silent, and uncertain. But this darkness is sacred. It is the womb of transformation, the crucible where the false self dissolves. Here, the woman learns the language of her soul: symbols, visions, emotions too deep for words. If she resists, the chaos consumes her. If she surrenders, it shapes her. Because the self cannot be reborn without first being undone. And when she finally rises from that inner abyss, she carries a strange calm, the kind that comes only from walking through fire and realizing she was the flame all along. Jung believed that the unconscious speaks not only through dreams, but through the body. When a woman silences her emotions, the body begins to whisper, then scream. Anxiety, fatigue, tension, even mysterious pain. These are the language of the shadow trying to be heard. The body remembers what the mind tries to forget. Every moment she swallowed her truth, every time she smiled instead of crying, her body kept the score. But the body is not her enemy. It is her oldest ally. It carries the wisdom of 1,000 generations, the instincts of every woman who ever survived. When she learns to listen, truly listen, she begins to decode her own mythology. The tightening in her chest might be the heart saying, "I am tired of pretending." The ache in her throat might be her unspoken voice. When she moves, breathes, and feels consciously, she bridges the gap between psyche and flesh. In Jung's language, she becomes embodied consciousness, no longer a mind trapped in form, but a soul fully alive within it. That is when the shadow no longer haunts her. It dances with her. There is a kind of rage that is not destruction, but rebirth. Jung saw this as the energy of the repressed archetype breaking through the walls of the false self. When a woman who has been silent for too long finally says, "No more," the entire lineage behind her exhales. This is not anger for revenge. It is the soul's demand for balance. She is not furious because she hates. She is furious because she has remembered her worth. In a world that worships her submission, her rage is holy. It burns not to harm, but to clear what is false. It destroys the masks, the lies, the inherited guilt. It is the same fire that the ancients saw in the goddesses of storm and serpent, Kali, Lilith, Sekhmet, each embodying a face of the dark feminine. This is what Jung meant when he said the unconscious holds both demon and divine. To embrace sacred rage is to harness chaos as creation. And when she channels that energy, not through violence but through truth, her voice becomes thunder and her silence becomes power. After the descent into shadow, something miraculous occurs, a quiet rebirth. Jung called this moment integration, when light and dark no longer fight, but recognize each other as one. The woman who once feared her emotions now moves with them like tides. She doesn't suppress her shadow, she listens to it. Her intuition sharpens, her voice deepens, her presence thickens with power. She no longer performs goodness, she embodies truth. There is a softness in her strength now, a calm intensity that others can feel but can't explain. This is what Jung described as the emergence of the self, the union of all opposites within the psyche. In myth, it is the phoenix rising from its ashes. In life, it is the woman who returns to the world no longer seeking approval, but radiating authenticity. Her beauty is not in her face, but in her energy, magnetic, ancient, unshakable. She becomes a mirror for others, not by reflecting what they want to see, but by reminding them who they truly are. The dark feminine has not been conquered. She has been remembered. Once a woman has met her shadow and embraced her inner masculine, something changes forever. People begin to feel her before they see her. Jung wrote that true power doesn't announce itself. It vibrates. In her silence, there is gravity. In her words, there is weight. Men are drawn to her, not by charm, but by mystery. Women sense both comfort and unease in her presence, as if she carries a truth they've forgotten. This is the power that comes when a woman stops seeking validation and starts embodying essence. She doesn't compete because she creates. She doesn't chase because she attracts. Even chaos bends around her, not out of fear, but recognition. Jung would say she has become a vessel of the numinous, the divine energy that both fascinates and terrifies the human soul. Those around her can't explain why they remember her long after she's gone. It's not beauty. It's not intellect. It's the vibration of someone who has met herself and survived the encounter. Jung once warned that when a woman fully awakens her inner power, she risks becoming a symbol, not a person. The world begins to project onto her its desires, fears, fantasies, and wounds. Men see in her what they crave or fear. Women see what they admire or reject in themselves. She stops belonging to herself and becomes a mirror for the collective unconscious. This is the danger of the awakened feminine, to be worshipped or condemned, but rarely understood. If she forgets her human heart, she is devoured by the image others create of her. But if she stays grounded in her soul, she becomes something extraordinary, a bridge between the spiritual and the human, between chaos and creation. This is the essence of the Jungian feminine, not a goddess above the world, but a woman within it, who carries both shadow and light in equal measure. She walks through the fire of her own psyche and returns, not untouched, but transformed. And that, Jung would say, is the most dangerous kind of beauty, because it's real.